Good evening. Just doing a quick mic check. It seems all good. Today we're talking about how to build a habit. And it's not this kind of, we're going to unpack the real science on how to change your behavior rather than relying on the myths and lies that you'll find on the internet. And this is a training that's pretty much normally exclusive for the MYM Club, but I thought that people will need to know about this. The change of behavior for a lot of people is at the heart of what their beginning of their year looks like as well, with resolutions and stuff. But it's ultimately definitely at the heart of what we are about inside the MYM Club. We are a habit-based coaching program that demands results and gets them. We are more about asking people questions and a little less about telling people what to do, although sometimes we do tell people what to do. But we focus initially on simple fundamentals and the basics. Um, well, the basics are the basics. The simple doesn't necessarily mean easy, and theory and having the theory around it is no good if you don't know how to put those basics, those fundamentals into practice. So before we look at what to change, we need to understand how to change. Right? If you're watching this and you've ever tried to do anything, you've tried to lose 10 kilos, you've tried to do anything meaningful, you know, it's hard to change your old ways of behaving. Whether it's eating, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how good your intentions. Or maybe it's just me that's maybe sworn not to, check their email first thing in the morning and kind of fan themselves in the small hours, face lit up like it is now, checking emails. Or maybe maybe you've been trying to de-stress and you've been trying to find your inner peace through meditation, but you couldn't find even 5 minutes just to sit down and breathe, just to kind of sit and breathe. All right, maybe it's you want to commit to a proper lunch break and somehow find yourself munching sandwiches at your desk while working, tapping on the keyboard. The crumbs are falling into the keyboard and you're working through your lunch. Or maybe decided to kind of abstain from drinking and dry January. Or maybe and you failed, or you sort of somehow had ended up with a good Spanish wine that's mysteriously appeared in your hand at the end of the day. All of this is less surprising when you realize that a Duke University study says that at least 45% of our waking behavior is habitual. Right? Sometimes we like to think, yeah, we're in charge. Right? It turns out we're not so much controlling how we act with our conscious mind as we are being driven by our subconscious or our unconscious mind. And that's fascinating to me. It's also slightly disturbing, right? There's a lot of information out there on how to change the way you behave. Or more accurately, there is a dense jungle of misinformation that grows particularly lush at the beginning of each year, right? As the end of December rolls in and January comes in, the resolutions are in the air. And we've just heard about them for the past 31 days, the past month, resolutions changing, this new year, new me stuff. One of the things with habits is, have you heard that one of the things that I read is, and I've seen it circulating, is that if you do something for 21 days, you'll have a new habit. If you've heard that in the comment section below, type in 21 below, because I'm keen to see how many people have heard that habit. If you do something for 21 days, you would have built that new habit. Type 21 in the comment section below. I'm keen to find out, because somebody just made that up. And now it stalks the internet like a friggin' zombie that's refusing to die from The Walking Dead. It's like, yeah, happily there's been an increase of sort of grounded findings when you look through the neuroscience papers and the behavioral economic studies and stuff. And that's kind of forged, if you read into it, a clear path on what we need to do, right? To build an effective new habit, you need 5 essential components. You need a reason, a trigger, a micro habit, effective practice, and a plan. Now, where I would recommend you start is making a vow. Because why would you bother doing something as difficult as changing the way you work, or changing the way that you eat, or changing the way that you move, if there is no sort of it's difficult for the change to start with, but why would you change that? You need to get clear on the payoff for changing something as familiar and efficient. Now, it's obviously not the same of course, as effective. But like an old behavior, why would you change that old behavior? What's in it for you? And getting clear doesn't mean I want you to imagine necessarily, success. I want you to imagine you 10 kilos lighter right now. It doesn't necessarily mean that. Actually, there's a lot. Some research shows that that is beneficial thinking about that. But if you spend too much time imagining the outcome, you start to worry because you start to get less motivated to do the actual work they get there because you start to realize there is a lot of work to do. Right now, Leo Babuta frames a helpful way of connecting the big picture in his book Zen Habits. Cool book, Mastering the Art of Change. It's called, and he talks about making a vow that's connected to serving others. Like for example, Janine gave up smoking as a commitment to her partner and children. I want to stay around longer. Janine uh, wanted to lose 20 kilos that she could be around for the grandchildren and actually play instead of going, oh, can't do that, too old for that. So think less about what the habit can do for you and more about how this new habit will help a person or people that you really care about. Um, you need to figure your trigger as well. One of the key insights that I took from Charles Duhigg's book, The Power of Habit, is if you don't know what triggers the old behavior, you're never going to change it because you'll already be doing it before you even know it because it's subconsciously ingrained. The more specific you can be when defining your trigger moment, the more useful this particular piece of data is, right? And as an example, inside the MYM Club, we have a food diary post. We ask everyone to put the food diaries, even though they're going to be chatting to myself or Viola every single week. If we just said on the food diary post, right, that becomes a thing, right? It becomes a lot more usable when we say, when I'm asked to check in on the food diary post inside the MYM Club, it becomes even more powerful. And it becomes even more usable when we say, when Viola or Dean asks me for my initial thoughts of my food diary from last week and what I can improve on it, do you see the degree of specificity we're playing around with there? You got the starting point for building a strong new habit. And then we're just kind of really expanding on the specifics. We're getting really specifics and we're effectively making you trigger with specific questions on how to encourage that habit to be recurring. Another thing you can do is double S it. So you need to be short and specific, right? If you define your new habit in sort of an abstract and vague way, you won't get any sort of traction on it. If it takes too long to do it, your brain's going to find a way to kind of hack these good intentions. You're going to start to lose motivation. And I took this one from BJ Fogg's work, and he says that you should define your new habit as a micro habit that needs to take generally around less than 60 seconds to finish, to complete. Right? This is about getting really clear on the first step or the first two steps that might lead to the bigger habit. If your goal is to run, 5 kilometers, then your two step could be I need to put my shoes my trainers near the door, and I need to just start by walking out the door to the end of the road. This could be it's short, specific, takes less than 60 seconds. Right? The double S guideline works particularly well for our program inside the MYM Club. Particularly well. We have massive success with it. Another thing is you need to practice deeply, right? Dan Coyle has a book called Talent Code, and he researched why certain parts of the world were specific talent hotspots for certain skills. Brazil with football, Moscow women's tennis, New York music and stuff like that. And one of the key factor in each spot was knowing how to practice well. They just and Dan Coyle calls it deep practice. They just know how to practice well. And there's three components that he talks about of deep practice. There is practicing small chunks of the bigger action. Now, for instance, rather than practicing, let's use the tennis, right? The women's tennis. Rather than practicing the whole tennis serve, so you've maybe got a couple of bounces, you get the toss, and then you've got the actual serve, and there's a specific technique on how you hit it. You just initially practice tossing at the ball, right? The repetition, non-stop. You do it fast, you do it slow, you do it aggressive, you do it differently, you don't toss it up as high, you know, but you keep repeating the action. And finally, you be mindful, obviously, when the toss feels right, when it goes particularly well, whatever the habit, when it goes particularly poorly. When it does, you celebrate success, and you don't have to go and obviously have some champagne or anything like that. A little kind of fist bump will do, but just understand that, be cognizant of, okay, that went really well. All right, we got trainings like this inside the inside our big support group, over 47,000 people in there, right? And so many cool trainings in there, and we're like, and sometimes I see there's a quote that it reminds me of. It's like, please give me some good advice in the next live that you guys do. It's fantastic. I promise I'll never follow it. That's just sort of things because they don't watch the videos and apply what you can do. So I'm imploring, I beg you to just try some of this stuff, right? And one that's relevant, I think, is planning on how to get back on track. It's very relevant. Chatted to a couple of our ladies today, and when you stumble, and everybody stumbles, right? It's everybody, everyone watching this will have stumbled at some point in their life on a particular goal that's really important to them, right? And unfortunately, it's easy to give up, right? You know, I may as well eat the cake. You know, I may as well eat the rest of the cake, seeing how I've now that slice and fucking blown it. But in in fact, you know, we need to face the reality that we will not achieve perfection in our quest to build the particular habit, right? It's the same with weight loss. You are not going to be perfect on your journey of, 13 weeks, of 21 weeks, of 6 months, however long it's going to take you. You are going to miss a moment. You are going to miss a day. This is understood. And we fully understand this inside the MYM Club. What you need to know really is what to do when that happens. And that's where we are. That's what we're here for. We will build resilient systems around you. We build in fail safe so that when something breaks down, you have the support network. You know exactly the next step to recover because it's obvious. So this is what we do inside the MYM Club. We build that resilient system so that you do lose weight, you keep it off. Now we are going to continue this series inside the MYM Club. We're going to put this all together, and it's obviously exclusive for the MYM Club. But I do wanted to give some value to people watching this outside. So if you have got value from this, comment value below, and we'll definitely share some of our free trainings like this because I think it's something you can action straight away. And we love tangible stuff that you can action straight away. Something that you can implement straight off the bat, and you're laughing. If you are wanting to understand, wanting to know if the MYM Club can help you, comment MYM below, and we will reach out to see if we can help you. And that is all. I mean, we've talked about how to build a habit, and I appreciate you tuning in for sort of the past 15 minutes or so. If there are any questions, pop them in the comment box below. Again, if you want to find out if MYM can help you, comment MYM below, and myself or Viola will reach out to you to see if you're a good fit for what we do. Remember, we help menopausal women lose weight and keep it off forever, and we're damn good at it too. We guarantee results. So if there's any questions, pop them in the comment box below, and we will speak to you soon. See you later.